let's make our arguments. All right? Let's make our arguments for argument's sake. The Cowboys select Jordan Davis. All right. Immediately, this team will be better on defense, in my opinion, because now you have a bigger plug that you can put inside. Even if it's just first and second downs you're using Jordan Davis, you will have a better production out of my guy Parsons, because the laneways will be clearer, faster. He will be able to get to those edges and make those necessary plays. Excuse me. Think of this. Ray Lewis, and I'm not saying that Parsons is Ray Lewis, but if you go back and watch Big Sam Adams, Tony Siragusa, you go back and look at that tape and you would say, man, those big boys did a lot of heavy lifting for Ray Lewis so he can fly out to the ball, chase, get to the edge, make plays. And I'm quite sure that Parsons is faster than Ray Lewis. That's just my thoughts right there. You can just put him wherever you want to. But here's what I'm saying. It's a philosophy change, a philosophical change, because the Cowboys normally do not draft big boys down inside. Big Jordan Davis will help this team out tremendously. On the flip side, if the Cowboys do decide to go with either Kenyon Green or Zion Johnson, I believe both of those guys would help this team out on the offensive side as relates to a front five. You talking about the core of your team, and you protecting one of your most valuable assets for this team, Dak Prescott. And excuse me, you can get back to running the rock, right? On top of that, it also put down a focus of emphasis on the front five so that you can look back and say, okay, well, with this particular pick, normally those guys last 6 to 10 years if you hit right. And this Dallas Cowboys front five need their reinforcements. Sometimes it's better to build now versus waiting for everything to be doom and gloom and saying, okay, let's now look back at this offensive line. No, it's better to build now. All right, so another point. For sake of arguments, if you do decide to go with the flash of the pan, the wide receiver. Now, Jameson Williams, his agent, Rocky Arsenal, put out a tape earlier today, and I'm quite sure since they put this tape out, he's not dropping to the 24th spot. Now, if you go with Treylon Burks, or if you go with Drake London and all of those big wide receivers, it could be a same situation like that. You can say, well, we can insert those boys in before we have to wait forever for Michael Gallup to come back, and they will hold it down from there. Now, if you pass up on those guys, let's not sleep in the second round on George Pickens, Sky Moore, all of those guys. This wide receiver class is such a huge class, whereas when you look at the draft board, all you're looking for pretty much are 3 guys that can come in to make some impact to help this team out. You're not looking for all 9 draft picks to be starters. You don't want all 9 draft picks to be out there anyhow, right? It'll be a team with a lot of inexperience. So what you want to do is make sure that on the players that can get out there to make a play, Right, Cowboy Nation. Todd McShay earlier today said that Nakobie Dean, Tyler Linderbaum, as well as George Karlaftis are a few guys that may drop in the draft. Now, keep in mind, this is the Lion season, and Todd McShay may be right. I'm not saying that the man is wrong or what have you, but trust your tape, trust your evaluation, and don't get thrown off by other people's decisions. The draft board is your draft board. You got to stick to your draft board. You can't be all over the place. On top of that, the draft board philosophy should be best player available. Although you can look at your team and see a glaring hole at guard, right? But if you're looking at your draft board and you see that the best player that you have on your draft board at the time of the pick is Treylon Burks, and you see that also you have maybe another wide receiver tags that are touching, Chris Olave, or let's say Jameson Williams, let's say that all 3 of those guys tags are touching, and you are at the 24th spot. and you really, really, really need a guard at that point, and your guard is way down the list, what you can do is trade back from there, but don't trade back so far that you will lose out on the guys that your tags are touching on your draft board. Now that's a philosophy, right? And that's just an example. I'm not saying that any of those guys will drop at that 24th spot. Nevertheless, you still got to trust your draft board. You can't start looking at other people's tests or answers to their tests and say, well, they passed up on this guy or they passed up on that person. No. Stay focused. Pick the player that's best for your team and trust your coaching staff. Although let the scouts scout and let the evaluators do the evaluations, but you look back at it and say, okay, you did your homework. Now, when I say trust your coaching staff, would be, hey, I drafted this guy. I want you to develop said guy. That's the reality of it. That's the flat out reality of it. The coaching staff on these premium picks, if they really want to have some advice to this situation, you can lean into what they're saying. However, you have to trust your evaluations of your draft board. You should never leapfrog any of this stuff. For example, Taco Charlton was when the Cowboys said, okay, Rob Marinelli, what do you feel about Taco versus TJ? Who you can teach up better? In the back of their minds, they knew that TJ was a better player, right? Same example with my guy Tristan Hill. Hey, you got a safety that's on your draft board that you may have higher, but the Cowboys team need at the time was an interior guy. And you bring in the philosophy of the coaches and say, hey, what would you need to work out with more? No. You draft the best player available, and you lean and you say to those coaches and say, hey, come over here, lean over here just a little bit. I'm drafting this guy, and I need you to develop said guy. Because this is the guy that we did our homework on, and this is the guy that is the best player available for his skill set and talent. Now, granted, the war room is the war room for a reason. It is called the war room, not the soft room. So you should fight for the person you believe, and whatever system the Cowboys have already in place, you bang on the table for the player you want, and you would say to yourself, I guarantee you that this guy will help elevate the team. But that all comes through experience, right? And earning the ground that you walk on. So hopefully, what Todd McShay said today with Tyler Linderbaum dropping, and as well as George Karlaftis, and I believe the other person on that list was Nakobie Dean. That's his thoughts, right? A lot of smoke and mirrors, baby. Don't fall for the trap. Don't fall for it. Pick the best player available. Now, on top of that, if Nakobie Dean is there at 24, and you say to yourself, I know I can get a guard in the second round, or I feel comfortable trading back into the first or early into the second rounds, you do that. But don't fall into the traps of saying to yourself, hey, maybe this guy's dropping because he didn't score well on their test, or he didn't score well in their purview. No. Stick to your philosophy. Don't be rubbernecking, Cowboy Nation. So I believe that this draft will be wonderful. This team will be different a week from now. A lot of things, a lot of changes will occur. And keep in mind, Cowboy Nation and everybody that's listening, there's one truth right here. It's one truth. That after the draft, there will be some more and more veteran guys available, right? Because there will be some team that look at their draft picks, scratch their heads and say, you know what? I believe that this young guy can fit well with this system. Or there will be a team with new coaches, new philosophy, and will say to those veteran guys, the system that we're about to run, you really don't fit. We would like to bring in our philosophy with the younger crowd or with the younger guys. That happens, Cowboy Nation, all the time. And there will be somebody that's available. We just don't know it right now, right? The off season is long for a reason, so sit back, kick your feet up, and relax a little bit and just chill. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Go Cowboys.